everybody, BeanMeister22 here. Hey, today we're going to tumble some rocks. We're going to set up our rock tumbler for week 1. Now we're going to use our small rock tumbler. This is a 3-pound capacity, not to be confused with this one, which is an 18-pound capacity. Now you might think bigger is better, but when it comes to using this big one, you have to have enough rocks in there. They definitely have to be the same hardness, at least in each of these containers here. And if you don't have enough rocks of the same hardness to fill this 6-pound container, remember, not just weight, but also by volume, you have to put a bunch of filler in there, and that becomes expensive. That ceramic filler just gets used up, or there's also plastic beads, but it gets beat up and used up. So sometimes it's just easier to do smaller batches. We currently have 3 rock tumblers. We have this big one at 18 pounds. We have the 3-pound capacity one we're using today, and we have a smaller 1-pound capacity. And the difference is the 18-pounder costs us $500, the 3-pounder cost us $100, and the 1-pounder was about $70. I haven't tested the hardness of these rocks, but they're pretty close in hardness for the most part. So they should go together well. Now here's why you don't want to mix different hardness of rocks. The hard rocks will just beat the crud out of the softer ones, and you will just turn it into a slurry paste of concrete. We've done that before in that big 18-pound capacity rock tumbler. We don't want to do it here. And yes, normal tumbling is going to have a certain amount of breakage. It's supposed to. It's going to break off. You're smoothing it and polishing it. But if there's any sharp edges, it will actually crack and just destroy the rock, especially if you're tumbling crystals. And when you're tumbling for between 3 and 7 days per level, minimum 4 levels, sometimes 5 if you're counting a polishing week, that's a whole wasted month when you've just turned everything into a paste and your rocks are ruined. Yeah. Think ahead. Be smart. Now, after we've loaded the rocks in here, approximately 2/3 full in this hopper, remember, we have no idea what the weight is yet. We need to put the step 1 grit in there, which is a 6090 grit. It's a silicon carbide, and a batch like this calls for between 2 and 3 tablespoons. It's not an exact science. Then we add the water. You got to have water in here. It's just not rocks and some grit. It's rocks, grit, and water, like it's tumbling in a river. And you want to fully cover the rocks with water. Now here's the important part. When you put the lid on, you can't just put the lid on. There is an internal piece to it and a top piece, external piece to it. You need to first put that internal piece, separate your lid, put the internal piece in there, make sure it's in there good and snug. Then you put the outer or top piece of the lid on there and tighten it down, because this is very important. You don't want it coming open and water and everything everywhere. You'll ruin who knows? You can ruin your tumbler, you can ruin whatever is underneath it, the surface, your table, your floor, whatever you're doing. Yeah, just horrible mess and wasted time and wasted money. So always give it a good check to make sure it's not leaking. Make sure the lid is on tight, secure, and no water will come out. Now we're going to weigh it and see how good we did. Okay, this is stuck in kilograms. I don't know how to get the scale off kilograms. I'll figure it out for next video. But this is approximately 3 pounds. We just got lucky. For the purposes of this video, we have this set up here on the table. When I run this, I run it on the floor. Not a carpeted floor, the hard floor. I also put a piece of styrofoam underneath it, and then I take a plastic tote, set it on top of it, and then I put some towels on there, and that really muffles the noise, because this thing is noisy as heck. And lastly, so it doesn't overheat, when I have that plastic tub covering it, I leave an inch gap on the bottom, and I have a little fan, which I have blowing in there. I don't want it to overheat, but this thing is noisy. If you have a bigger house or a garage where you can set it, then, it's fine. Let it be noisy all day long. At the old place, we used to put it out on the back porch or on the covered patio, and it can just run out there noisy. Week 1, since it's the roughest rock and the sharpest edges, is going to be the noisiest of the weeks. That's just how it is. Now, because of my work schedule, I'm not going to run this for a week. I'm only going to run it for 3 days. I don't run this when I'm not home. I don't want it shorting or catching fire or anything weird happening. So, yeah, it'll run when I'm asleep. It'll run when I'm here. If I run down to the store for 5 or 10 minutes, it's fine. I'll leave it running. But if I'm going to be gone more than 15, 20 minutes, half an hour, I shut it off. Now, if you're wondering why I don't do that when I'm away at work, you can't. That will turn into a hard concrete paste, because what you have in there is water and little bits of rock. And that's how you make concrete. So yeah, you don't want to do that. Now, I suppose you could, when you're here, run it. You could unplug it, bring it to work with you, plug it back in, and then do that. I might have to do that for the polishing weeks. So this is week 1. After this week is over, we're going to open it, clean everything out, flush it, wash it, and then we'll get ready for week 2. All right, any questions? Leave them in the comment section. Any comments, suggestions, whatever. Tell me what I'm doing wrong. Tell me what I'm doing right. Leave it in the comment section. As always, thanks for watching.
Beanmeister 22, the most dangerous man on YouTube.